Hi fellow traders, I hope you guys are enjoying your long weekend. Got that extended break, recharge the batteries, hit the reset button if you have to. I always like this President's Day weekend because it coincides with my birthday. Gives me that extra day to really enjoy it and celebrate it. You know, there was a time where I wanted to stop counting. Now every year I get it just makes it even better. So I always enjoy that. But what I'm doing today, as part of our swing program, I was asked to recap the watch list. On Sunday mornings we have our market analysis and watch list session build, where what I'm doing is I'm looking for stocks that are setting up technically that's gonna allow us to take advantage of these short-term trends in the market. Anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks is basically what I'm looking at. Just depending on the stock, market conditions, catalyst, that's going to determine how fast it's going to move or how slow it's going to move. But the key is I'm taking these scans that they're my proprietary scans. They're simple, and they're looking for specific criteria, and then we take those scans and we look at each one that hits, and we decide which ones are going to give us the biggest moves. And I'm looking for 8 to 10%, and only risking at the most 3 to 4%. And really, a lot of times I don't even have to risk 3%, maybe 2% is where the risk would be. But it all depends on, like I said, the stock, the profit window, and all of that. And that's what we go through on Sunday morning, and to really get you set up for the week. And then later that day, you get a swing newsletter that pretty much is a written it's a written I can't even think of the word now, but it's a transcript. It's a written transcript of what we talked about in the session, plus it's going to have the charts of the watch list and everything. And then you'll get the specific stocks on our watch list. On our member Twitter feed, I'll send out my specific trade plans, which looks like this, which it gives you the entry trigger, the profit targets, and where the stop loss should be. But there are different stops you can use. There's a more conservative stop, there's one that's a little more riskier, and there's one that's kind of mid-range. So based on what you're looking for, you're going to know where each of those stops are. But this is what I send out. And what it does is it tells you exactly what conditions have to be met to enter, what profit targets, where the likely profit targets based on levels of resistance, and where the stop should be. So this will tell you, hey, if you lose this, the trade's not going to work. You can always reset, but you have to respect the trade plan. So you get all of that, and you're really set up for the week. Now I only build one watch list a week, and that's really all I need. Now people that swing trade every day, that's their primary focus, they may scan every day and look for these opportunities. And you find really good opportunities every day. But like I said, I do this part-time, and I think I do pretty well just doing part-time. So that's where that goes. But that's pretty much how this thing goes. It's really simple. It's really easy to follow along. It's not a whole lot involved, not a whole lot you have to do, which is what I was kind of going for. And you learn as you go, because being part of the scan process every Sunday morning, you learn how to do your own scans. So before long, you won't even have to worry about what I'm looking at. You have your own scans. You know exactly what you want to do. You know exactly how to formulate your trade plans. You know, this is a learning process. So I don't do this so that you could be dependent on me forever. You will, even if you don't want to learn, you're gonna learn. And it's gonna eat away at you to start doing your own thing. And you're gonna start doing it. So, you know, that's kind of the premise behind all of this. All right, so let's take a look at, this was what we saw last week. Going into last week, we were hitting the ascending resistance. And we said that if it rejected and came back, we would at a minimum hit the 20, or worst case scenario, it would probably test the 50. That's what we were looking at. Or if it confirmed above it, then we would probably hit 400. I was thinking we would hit 400. So that was what I was looking at going into last week. And of course, it didn't quite get there. It didn't even hit 393. We did establish, you can see Monday, we did establish over this ascending resistance, but we didn't go anywhere. You know, here was a bad day on Wednesday, but we didn't go anywhere. We still held this ascending resistance, just haven't gone anywhere. So if we can stay positive, we can probably make 400 next week. But if we continue to trade sideways and can't get through 393 and 395, we probably will be getting a pullback before we go back higher. Now, day trading wise, I would love to have a pullback. I think that's going to reset a lot of stuff and allow more trading opportunities. Right now, we're just not getting a follow through on everything that I like. There are some that are following through good, but you have to be fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. So day trading wise, I want to see a little pullback, even swing trading wise, because stocks, with people feeling like this is a top and it's trying to pull back, they're going to be less likely to buy up here. And we need something to trigger a buying event that's going to drive these stocks higher. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. But, you know, we'll see. This was a strong day Friday. And, you know, we'll see going into next week where we go. So you guys stay tuned. You're going to get because this was a holiday, I didn't get the email, the newsletter out and the trade plans out for the watch list. That's coming this evening, so keep your eye out for that. So here's CHWY. This is one of the trades I took last week, and here was the initial trade plan I emailed out on Monday. You know, open above 101.82. With 101.82 is where we closed that last Friday. Any open above that would trigger an entry. And then first target, we're looking for 110, which would be right here. This is a significant resistance here. And then I have 120 on there. I bypassed the 52-week high and just put 120, which would have coincided with hitting the ascending resistance again. You can see how we've been trading in this channel. Ascending support, ascending resistance. So theoretically, you would think, okay, it's going to bounce off this and run up here. So that was my thought. So I got in Tuesday, and look at what happens. I get in, the stop triggers and it sells all the way off and stops me out. Hit my max loss stop. Now, as I look at this after the fact, I realize maybe I should have put my stop here versus using the low the previous day. This is the more conservative stop. This is the more aggressive, and this is the more conservative stop, which is under the low of that candle. This is the more aggressive stop, will be under the low of this candle. But you know, hindsight's 20/20. But this is the way I had it set up. Ended up getting stopped out, and took a 2187.03 hit. So I'm like, okay, fine. This can still set back up. All right, so I'm still gonna have it on watch. The next day, it triggers an entry. I have my stop below the low of this candle this time, and I let it work. It hit 110, and then on Friday, I kind of lost faith in this, and I lost faith in it hitting 120 here because of me getting stopped out before and everything. So I get back in, I do get one target, and I just took everything off at 52-week high. And I really thought that that's as far as it was going to go. I thought we were going to reject there or kind of hold off there. And sure enough, it went all the way. It didn't quite get to 120, but it came really, really close. And it may get there Tuesday, tomorrow. It might. But I don't feel bad about it. This was the trade plan I put out this week. 110, and then 52-week high was the final target. Stop was 103. This was Friday. You know, once I had taken profit, I moved my stop up. So that's where we ended. We lost 20. What did we lose? We lost 2187 on the first one. Picked up almost 10 grand on the second. All right, and really, really nice recovery on this. And this is why I say always stay engaged. Even with day trading, if I get stopped out, I'm going to stay engaged. And a lot of times it will give me another entry on this. And so, you know, that's where this came from. So I'm really happy with it. EXAS, this was the other trade we took last week. Here was a trade plan I tweeted out on Sunday evening. Open above 144.59, profit target was 150, and second target 52-week high, which was 159.54. You know, right up here under 160. And of course, I kind of ignored this, but I said, listen, if this hits and it starts to reject, we need to take profit here. So on a day that this level is in play, we may need to, if we're not going to set an alert, we may need to just put a profit target here to make sure we locked in profit. But the goal was to get to the 52-week high. And then the stop was the loss of the 20 EMA, which was right here. And you can see how tight this is. You know, I could have said loss of the ascending support. I could just keep going down, but it doesn't make sense. This is what the trade is based off of. If we lose this technical level, the trade plan is dead. So here's what happened on this week. We got the entry here. You can see it triggered, but what it did, it triggered higher than what we wanted it to be. And because of that, I had to adjust my trade plan. So I couldn't, because I got in at 147.69, I could not take profit at 150. That was less than $2.50. I need more than that. So what I had to do was adjust it. And this is what happens sometimes if we get a gap up, I had to adjust my entry to 155. And that's exactly what I did. So I adjusted it, to 155. We got profit here. And then within the same hour, and this is odd. And it just so happens that I went ahead and put in a range order for 160 for my high and my stop at break even. And within an hour, like 45 minutes of this hitting my profit target, it came all the way back down and hit my stop at break even. And this rarely ever happens. But you could see it would have, if it didn't do this, it did go lower. But we did get another 20 EMA cross. And had this been Wednesday and not Friday, I would have re-entered this trade on Friday, because this triggered an entry on Friday. But it was Friday. I don't enter swings on Friday. And so that was that. So this one, we didn't really get what we wanted to, just a base hit on it. 21.79.65. We'll take base hits because we know base hits add up. Not every trade is going to be a home run. So we take the base hits and they grow. If you haven't read the book or seen the movie Moneyball, this is the principle that I base everything on. And you're going to learn even more about it next week in the small account classes that we're going to have. The focus is going to be on trading and growing your small account. Moneyball plays a really big part in that. So if you haven't read that book or haven't watched that movie, and do that so you can understand the principles behind it. So this is where we are so far this month. Tuesday, this was when we took the loss. We got back in Wednesday, and you can see the trade. We did take some profit early this week, and then closed out. So it only took just over a week. This is ideal. If I can hold a trade for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days and make 10 grand, yeah, I'd love to do it. But this is kind of ideal. And this is pretty much how our profit calendar looks on the swing side. We don't take a whole lot of trades. We pick the ones that we feel can give us the best opportunity for profit, and that's what we go for. And this is the results. So I'm all cash right now. Like I said, you'll get the new watch list this evening, and we'll be going from there. So how did the other stocks on watch? How did that come about? So BL and K, this one, trigger, open above 53.35. We had the profit targets here, stop, and you can see we made it up to 60. We hit the first target, and it would have pulled back. This would have been a base hit. All right, base hit. CAT. Now this one we talked about. We said this stock trades slow like DE. Both of these we traded before, and it gave us slow moves. So if you like slow moves, then this will be the trade for you. And you can see that's exactly what we got. We did get the gap up, but this was a significant gap up. But we still haven't hit our first profit target yet. But it's going slow. Like I said, this will be a slower trade. It is consolidating. Ideally, looking for a push up through 52-week high. So if you're still in this one, you're still good. LEN, this is a 52-week high break that we were looking for. This is ideally the strategy. We make a 52-week high, we pull back, and within 10 days, we break the high again, and we look for an explosive move, which we didn't quite get to 100. This did hit 95. It's still in play. Albeit, I would put my stop at break even at this point so that I would not give up or lose anything. If we open below the close, I would just take it off. If I was in this trade, I'm not in it, but that's what I would do. It didn't quite get to our first profit target, which was a little bit disappointing on this, considering it had a really good day that Monday. NOVA was another one. This was a 20 EMA crossover. This had some pretty good room up to the ascending resistance. You'll be able to take a little bit larger size in this. But you could see this got to 55. It didn't quite get there. And this is a level that we said keep an eye on. 55. Keep an eye on this because you could see this was an ideal level of resistance here. Keep an eye on this. If it rejects, take profit. That's one of the things that we look for. And sure enough, it got here, it started to reject. We take profit. It's just that simple. And how we do it, we don't watch swings all day. We put in an alert, that a price alert hits 55. Then we look at it. And we say, hey, it's hitting 55. What is it doing? And we have to assess it because this is a significant level of resistance. And that's what we have to do. But I have to reiterate this. We do not watch swing trades all day. We don't watch them on intraday chart. We don't track them. Now, if you have to watch it on a daily chart. But I still don't recommend you watching it on that. Set alerts. When it hits significant levels, then you could log on or go in and make assessments from there. So that's NOVA. MTCH, you can see this one was breaking a 52-week high. We had target up to 170, which was right around where this was going to be, the ascending resistance, and then 175. This one made a really nice move. It did struggle. Okay, it did struggle, but eventually it hit 170. Not quite 175, but there's a couple of members still in this that did take the first profit. This is ascending resistance held, so there is a chance it can bounce. So you'll kind of be looking for that next week. And then last but not least, NXPI. This one was a 52-week high break. Not the ideal one that we look for, but it did have a chance to get to 200. And unfortunately, I don't have that chart. Let me see. Let's do FinViz and look at NXPI real quick before we go. I skipped that chart. Oh, you know what I did? Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. This is the last chart, and I've got it messed up. I got it. I know exactly what I did wrong. All right, here we go. Okay, this is the NXP chart from last week. You can see we were breaking a 52-week high. We were working on it. We hit. We pulled back. In a couple of days, we're trying to make that push. We're looking for 190 here. And bam, NXPI took it out. So all of the stocks on our watch list last week actually did really good. Some completed the move. Some gave us base hits. But obviously, I can't trade every stock on watch. I have to pick the one that day that I feel comfortable with and then go with it. So once I get in these, I post it in the chat room. I send out a tweet on the member Twitter feed to let you know I'm in it. And anytime I take profit or I get stopped out, those go out as well. Now, I don't send push notifications on your cell phone, but you can always activate that through your Twitter feed. You can activate push notifications for your Twitter so that if you're not logged into Twitter, it will send you the notifications. So, that's always an opportunity. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. That closes out our swing. Like I said, I'm all cash. You could keep up. If you're not a member, you can keep up with swings on my website, ed@averagejoetrader.com. Just go to, as a matter of fact, I will show it to you right now. Just go to AverageJoeTrader.com. I don't know why my picture's not showing up, but it will. Just go to Swing Trade Updates and just scroll down a bit. You'll see the calendar. This is from last month. All the closed swing trades I'm in. If I'm in an active trade, it'll be here. Like here's CHWY. I was in that trade. That was the active trade from last week. I need to take this off and add it to the closed trades, which I typically do on the weekend. But you can keep up with the trades I'm in here. Right here, we didn't have a session this week because of the holiday. But typically on Sunday mornings, we have a live session. The recording goes right here. So you're able to get that. So that's going to wrap it up for me this week. You guys have a great weekend. I will close out the week on day trading tomorrow. And we'll be off and running. So you guys enjoy the rest of your holiday. I will see you in the morning.